I'm Earl Butch Graves, Jr., CEO of Black Enterprise, and it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to the 2020 Black Enterprise Entrepreneur Summit, Connect and Thrive. Yes, this is a virtual event, a first in the 25-year history of our Entrepreneur Summit. But make no mistake, the COVID-19 pandemic may have forced us to physically distance from one another, but it could not diminish our resolve to both celebrate and elevate Black entrepreneurs and business professionals. Your success is our mission at Black Enterprise, and we are relentless in pursuit of that goal. To that end, I'm proud to say we have embraced this virtual platform, crafting a complete and engaging experience that more than matches the high standard you have come to expect from any Black Enterprise event. The truth is, we could deliver no less. We thank our host sponsor Nationwide and our other corporate partners for helping make this invaluable platform available to legions of tenacious entrepreneurs just like you. These are extraordinary times, as you well know, and we have designed this year's summit to meet this moment. From raising capital to monetizing your digital footprint, our dynamic panels promote resilience, ingenuity, and opportunity in today's uncertain business environment. As such, we have invited an outstanding slate of speakers to bring relevant experience and insight to your most pressing concerns. Our event is 2020's largest gathering of emerging and established African-American entrepreneurs representing the most vital networking platform for Black business owners. This year also marks the 50th anniversary of Black Enterprise. When my father started Black Enterprise 5 decades ago, he embraced the fact that small business serves as our nation's backbone, providing millions with jobs and opportunities. He also believed, however, that we could grow our businesses beyond mom and pop status into large, sustainable corporations with the capacity to significantly elevate and expand Black institutions and wealth creation. In that vein, this year's theme is Connect and Thrive, and the meaning is clear. For African Americans, financial independence has always been a collective endeavor. Where we have succeeded, we have done so by collaborating amongst ourselves and doing business directly with each other. When we connect, we thrive. Yes, these are challenging times to be Black and to be an entrepreneur. But when hasn't this been the case? Yes, we will recover. Yes, we will advance. And yes, we will succeed together as we connect and thrive. Now, before we kick off the summit with a compelling fireside chat between entertainment entrepreneur Nick Cannon and our executive managing editor, Alisa Gumbs, we will hear remarks from our good friends at Nationwide. We value their long-term partnership and expertise and their unrelenting commitment to advancing successful Black entrepreneurs. Here to represent Nationwide is Christopher Graham, Chief Investment Officer for Nationwide Mutual Fund.
Good morning. I'm Chris Graham, Chief Investment Officer of Nationwide Mutual Funds. On behalf of Nationwide and our 27,000 associates, we welcome and thank you for attending this year's conference. Black Enterprise has been a long-standing, valued partner of Nationwide for many years. Thank you, Butch Graves, the Graves family, and the entire Black Enterprise team for reimagining this year's summit and continuing to support communities across the country by driving growth, awareness, and pride in our neighborhoods. We salute Black Enterprise for its foresight and support of these talented entrepreneurs and professionals who are attending this year's conference. Nearly 100 years ago, Nationwide was founded by a small group of entrepreneurs with a unique and noble purpose: to put the needs of their members first. This mindset remains the cornerstone of our On Your Side promise today. Most people know Nationwide as a top auto and homeowners insurance company, but how many of you know that Nationwide also has a thriving financial services business? With a dedicated team of experts, We are committed to providing unique and purposeful financial service products that will allow you and your employees to thrive now and in the future. Being a mutual insurance and financial services company allows Nationwide to serve the communities where our members live and work while living our mission of protecting people, businesses, and futures with extraordinary care. The Nationwide team welcomes the opportunity to meet with you these next 2 days through our virtual booth where we'll have associates ready to discuss your business successes, challenges, and opportunities. I encourage you to sign up for a one-on-one matchmaking session with our supplier diversity team to identify ways that Nationwide may be able to assist you and your business. Before I go, remember, Nationwide is on your side. Thank you and enjoy the conference.
Thank you so much for being with us, Nick, today.
Thank you for having me live and in living color.
I know, so different. We've actually wanted to talk about your businesses for a long time because everyone knows you as an entertainer, but I don't think anyone has half an idea of what you're doing behind the scenes.
It's quite a bit. I mean, I've actually felt like I was an entrepreneur before I was an entertainer. I mean, it was in my spirit to kind of understand and operate within business from the very beginning.
Well, speaking of the beginning, I want to take it back. When you were growing up, your dad ran a television program.
Yes.
Is that where you fell in love with TV?
Interestingly enough, my father was a aspiring televangelist throughout the 80s and 90s. And, you know, during those times, they had what they called, you know, public access. And it was workshops and facilities to actually run your own television programming through the city. And that was kind of where I cut my teeth on actually knowing how to operate cameras and produce and engineer, and is working behind the scenes with my father. And through that, you know, watching him develop his ministry, I would kind of, you know, the reward for me was to get some free camera time and get the opportunity to, you know, when he wasn't working, I could make my own television program. So that's really where it developed in my adolescent age.
So what did you absorb about the business of media and entertainment growing up like that and being in the business yourself from such a young age?
Oh, the media, the power of the media, honestly. You know, like Malcolm X says, the media is the most powerful entity in the world for many different reasons. It can, you know, make the guilty innocent or the innocent guilty, but ultimately when you have the power to speak directly to people on, you know, a platform that they sincerely connect with, your voice really matters.
So we mentioned you do a lot of things. So many I had to write them down. I'm gonna go through this list.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to the list. So just in television, you executive produced The Masked Singer on Fox.
Yes.
You executive produced Celebrity Call Center during the pandemic on E! You created and executive produced Wildling Out, which just had its 15th season.
Yes.
Film, you have a production company, Incredible, with a slate of features and documentaries, including She Ball, which won an award this year at the Pan-African Film Festival. In music, in addition to still putting out your own music, Incredible is also a music label with a roster of up-and-coming artists. You've got a daily weekday radio show, a weekly weekend radio show, both of which are nationally syndicated, a weekly podcast, a line of headphones, and just to, you know, add a cherry to the top, a new vegan soul food restaurant in LA.
Right.
Is that all part of a master plan? Are you the kind of person who has everything planned out, or do you follow the opportunities?
It's like I said, I was a natural born entrepreneur. I call it an entrepreneur now because obviously even like a lot of the stuff that you mentioned kind of stems from the world of entertainment. But even beyond that, I just kind of, I seize the opportunity and really study it more than anything. I've had the opportunity over the years to watch others and I follow the model more than anything, but really just understanding having various platforms and being able to diversify when your brand actually does resonate. So that's really all it is. To me, it's all one job. You know, I wake up and I get to be creative every day.
And that's what it boils down to, creative. So you have so many different ventures and so many opportunities that are provided to you. How do you choose what you want to pursue? Is there like a winning formula for what's attractive to you?
Where my passion lies is most likely the thing that makes me just go for it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to figure out a better word, but it's just like, that's when I'm like, because we all get lazy, we all get tired, we all get frustrated, but whatever you truly care about in that moment, that's the momentum, that's the battery in the back. So, you know, clearly 2020 has been, you know, an unprecedented year, and there's so many things that we can get passionate about, or that we are currently passionate about. So I usually try to drive my businesses in those directions.
You talk about following your passions, and I think there are a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs out there who are sort of paralyzed because they have too many ideas. They're good at a number of things.
Right.
They feel pulled in a lot of directions. You, though, are managing to go in a lot of different directions.
I think I have that problem as well, though. I definitely do. I mean, I was actually having this conversation yesterday where I feel like the clock is steadily ticking on me. I mean, and I try not to subscribe to time because I feel like it's man-made, but more about energy. And sometimes we don't have enough energy to fulfill all our passions. And, you know, that comes to my life through the lack of sleep, and you know what I mean, which then leads to the lack of focus. So I've struggled with that, and time management is something that is I try to apply daily because I have a wealth of things that I feel like I need to get accomplished. And you know, when we operate as true jegnas and storytellers and griots in that sense, you want to be able to leave as much as you possibly can leave, you know, before it's all said and done.
You mentioned energy. What energizes you, and do you follow sort of that when picking things?
I do. Energy is probably the most powerful thing to me in this earthly realm because it's something that never dies, and you have to know how to tap into it to really fulfill the things that you're set to do on this planet. So I control my energy. I protect my energy. Because there's a lot of energy vampires out there that will just steal your energy, and you won't even know it. You won't even look up, and they've leached everything from you, whether it's through your self-esteem, whether it's through your ego, whether it's through just a distraction. You know, there's so many things that we're distracted by. There's so many ways that, you know, we can get caught in front of a screen and look up and hours have gone by. Or, you know, even there's certain people that can just drain you. And so personally, I feel like we got to train ourselves to protect our energy and not allow others to leech. Even when they're not purposely doing it, people can just draw from you. And I often say when there's people who are in leadership positions or entrepreneurs, I call those people generators. But when you think about what a generator is, that's what everybody else plugs into. But who's generating the generator? You know what I mean? And who's putting the energy and the electricity that generator is giving out to the rest of the world? So in order to, you know, you have to maintain it on your own because no one else is going to calibrate it for you.
And what's the best thing you do to maintain that? I'm so glad you're talking about this because we don't talk about how hard it is to be an entrepreneur. Like there's a glamorous side to entrepreneurship, but then there's this side where you don't sleep at night, where, you know, everyone plugs into you. And so sort of what keeps you going, and what advice do you have for other entrepreneurs about how to get through the rough times?
I would say meditation. I mean, as simple as it sounds, it's some people call it prayer, some people just calling it being still. But when you can master managing your energy, when you can master sitting still, focusing, applying all of your energy into one spot, you know, even if it's like 15 minutes a day, then that helps in spaces like sleep. That helps in spaces like focusing. That helps for you to operate when you have to be in those positions where you have to think fast, think on your feet. So I learned that early on. I probably practiced meditation, through the form of martial arts since a child. And then as I began to apply it to ministry, and, faith and spirituality as I got a lot older, and then even applied it to business, currently, in the last couple of decades.
I want to go back to Wildling Out because I think that's such a great example of the way that you operated. When you came up with the idea, it wasn't like MTV was like, oh yeah, we love it, let's go. I mean, you decided to shoot it with your own money and your own friends to prove the concept.
It's called investing in your vision. And that goes back to passion. That goes back to even when others can't see it, when you know the seed that you possess, you got to plant it in the ground yourself. And that's kind of really what it was. I mean, and even still, we've been able to diversify that brand in so many different ways. And every time, somebody always doesn't see it. At every level, I'm always misunderstood or thinking too far forward or too big. Every season, someone tells me, we can't do it, or that's never been done before. And I'm like, yeah, I know, that's why we gonna do it. And it usually pans out for the better, but it's the risk and reward thing. That's really what an entrepreneur is all about. When you think about it, they say the definition of an entrepreneur is somebody who jumps out a window and figures out how they're gonna land on the way down.
Do you consider yourself a risk taker?
Absolutely. You're not living life unless you're taking risks.
So you mentioned diversifying Wildling Out, and that's one of the really cool things about it, because it started out as a TV show and it could have just stayed there. But of course you launched a live tour, there's a restaurant.
A few restaurants, we franchised.
So how did this come about?
Honestly, when you think about branding, when you think about having a space for culture to be curated and to exist, the sky's the limit on the type of things that you can put forth. Just the apparel is scratching the surface, but that's probably one of the first things that we started to engage with when we saw how much people wanted Wildling Out t-shirts and sweatshirts and the Wildling Out girls' outfits, and we saw the merchandise just go, and this was, early 2000s, it was just going crazy as soon as it came on air. So I was like, all right, well, there's many other things in this brand. So, now we're developing everything from barbershops to restaurants to, the live tours, and even it being a place to incubate new talent and new ideas. So it's no longer just a show, it's a culture.
Do you sit around and brainstorm these things by yourself? Are you the kind of person that's always jotting stuff down on your notepad? Do you have your sounding board?
Yeah, I mean, my mind is steadily working, so I'm always writing, plotting, and planning. But it's usually, again, it goes back to the passion, whatever, keeps me up late at night. That's usually when the best ideas come anyway, in the middle of the night. And that's when you're searching for a way to record it or write it down and figure it out.
So next up for you is a talk show.
It is, yes.
Coming out next year.
Yeah.
And it's not unusual for an entertainer to have a talk show, but the way that you've talked about it sounds really strategic, like you intend for the talk show to be sort of like a home base for all of this diversification
Mission
that you're
control.
talking about. Yeah. Tell us about it.
One thing about my talk show, I got to do it in a way that nobody else has done it before, and that's really when I'm talking about the inner workings and more of the back office approach. Mm-hmm. As we know now, everybody has a camera, everyone has a platform, which I believe is beautiful, because everyone should have that ability to exercise their voice. But now people have to really understand the infrastructure and the power of having a large platform that other platforms can feed into. So I believe my talk show will be truly that place. It'll be that oasis of giving other people the opportunity to express their voice, and really that unification of different ideas, different cultures, all wrapped up in having a good time. And we've seen the best do it. We can't reinvent Oprah. You can't can't reinvent Ellen. You can't and even we go from the Mike Douglases to the Mike Wallaces, all the way back even before them. What two people having a conversation is, but my goal is to empower our culture with my talk show, empower the voices that normally don't get an opportunity to be on a mainstream platform. So we're opened up shop in Harlem. So, I don't think there's ever been another talk show on a mainstream platform to come from our community like that. So that should just even let you know where my headspace is and how we're gonna operate on a daily basis. But then to still continue to take over all of those various platforms that I do have. So it will be connected to my radio show. It will, so I'll be on the radio in the morning. And again, that's nothing new. I feel like Steve Harvey and Seacrest and all of them, they've done that and managed that pretty well. But then also, through my podcast, my Cannon's Class podcast will have an element, my comedic podcast, and even shows like Wildling Out and stuff. There'll still be a way to funnel everything that I do through my record labels, through music, through my DJing. This will all be that central hub to really you're stepping into my world on a daily basis.
When you talk about giving a voice to other people and giving them a platform, there's also a financial aspect of that, and I think Wildling Out doesn't get enough credit for the number of people that you put on for the culture who were able to grow their own platforms, pocket some checks.
Yeah, we created some bags.
Yeah, I mean, do you see yourself when you talk about as a generator of wealth for our community?
Still, it's very minute at the moment. So I wouldn't, there's so many people who have, created generational wealth for our community. I hope, pray, and wish to be one of those people who have really done it. But, when people start saying, oh, look at all the people you put on, and I start to look to the people that I truly love and admire. And, when you look at what Spike Lee has done, when you look at what Oprah has done, when you look at people who are even a little bit more quiet about it, but like, the Denzels, there's so many people that have been put in powerful positions that just quietly move and provide. I think mine is probably a little bit more out in the open and probably more for this generation. And so I believe people see me as someone who puts people on, but I feel like I'm just getting started. And hopefully the talk show platform I'll be able to magnify that in a greater way, because not only do I want to, offer up opportunities and lessons on how to be an entrepreneur on a daily basis, but I also want to show the philanthropic side of, and teach the art of giving and how, that happens within our community. And when we can give unto each other, that just creates more and more wealth. Because that's truly a part of generational wealth, not even just financially giving, but offering, the blueprint on how to get it done.
When you talk about the Oprahs and the Steve Harveys, there's obvious comparisons to other talk show hosts. And I know when Wendy Williams was on The Masked Singer this year.
Oh yeah, that's my friend.
Yeah, you talked about how much you two talk, like how you have these long conversations.
Yeah, she's funny, man. I talk to her. She's Wendy, one of them type of people you can't get off the phone. Like, yo, Wendy, I gotta go.
I might have other stuff to do today.
But it's because we have, strong, detailed conversations. She's really a caring and compassionate person. You don't get to see that in the hot topics all the time. But one, she's genius with the career and the world she's created for herself, and truly one of our legendary broadcasters, but also just someone who really exemplifies strength within our community in a way that even. It can be polarizing to some, but when that's a queen when she walks into the room.
When you think about your business mentors or your business role models, who are the people that you model yourself after, and what's sort of the most important thing you've learned from them?
Wow, it's so many. I've truly admired, people like Harry Belafonte. He doesn't get the credit that he deserves for what he's done, for generations. As an entertainer, as a businessman, as a philanthropist, as an activist, putting your money and your passions into the same places, and providing for others. There was times where he was the only black man on television. He was the only black man on Broadway, or there was various people on Broadway, but one of the most, prominent and most successful. First person to ever go platinum would sell 1 million records was Harry Belafonte. So that concept of someone who has that type of power, but also has the type of passion for his people, and provided. So I've always looked up to him. I've always looked up to people like Quincy Jones, and these are just people that I've probably had the opportunity to engage with directly and get lessons from and gems from. So, but I mean, the list goes on. I mean, from people of this generation, like the Diddy's to the Will Smiths to all of those guys who are true culture shifters and shapers, and who put on for us for so long.
What's one of your Quincy Jones gems? What did you learn from him?
Oh man,
Or 10 of them. I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure.
I've had the opportunity to sit at the footsteps of Mr. Quincy Jones on many occasions, and he's shared many things, but really he's someone that's just really about love, and someone who's kind of gone through so much, who coming from Chicago, in decades ago to now, where from the streets to just a global icon. He's always talked about exemplifying and focusing on loving and bringing everyone together. And as cliche as that sounds, I was like, oh, we all need to love one another. It truly is the answer, but until someone actually puts it into practice, that's when it's taken one step further. So when you see the work that he's done with children in Africa, when you see the things that he has over the years, even within his art and his talent, it's always something that is truly about people and bringing people together. So he speaks, he speaks about the molecules jiggling together to create love. That's what he always tells me.
You mentioned that nobody's really out there doing things for this generation in the way that people see you doing it. And I think that's one of the things that you're known for, is for having your finger on the pulse of youth culture and what the current generation wants. I mean, you were chairman of Teen Nick for like 10 years. A whole decade, yeah. And I remember when JoJo Siwa was on The Masked Singer, I was like, I have no idea who this is. And I'm literally like 3 years older than you. But and of course, now she's in my Target circular because she's got a whole line of merchandise. And it's like, everybody knows who she is. But how do you, as someone who's now, been in the business for decades, still keep your finger on that?
It's so weird. I feel like I just know what's going on. I think because like once you're in the flow of it, you can't help but just kind of be in that zeitgeist of pop culture. And it's funny because as much of a headache as it can be to be, in the tabloids or on the blogs, like managing my energy, I'm like controlling, what's going on up and down my feed. So that's usually the wherewithal, it comes to me. So I just pay attention, even when it comes to like new talent and what's going viral, like it's in my inbox most of the time. And, if it's something that I find funny or find intriguing or, even in a intellectual space, if it's something I can research more, then I dig into it immediately and then spit it back out. And that's the world that we live in. That's what social media is all about. You know, you're bombarded with so much, and then it goes back to like protecting your energy. So you're like, all right, well, what am I gonna allow in? Okay, I can receive this, and then how do I put it back out, you know, for the people that are following me?
But it's also really smart from a business perspective.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, it's unfortunate because for so long I was the young guy, you know, and that mentality has never changed, you know. But I think the thing that keeps me young is that I keep empowering people that are younger than me, and that's the drive. You know, I'm in the studio, you know, every day with people that are in their 20s. You know, I'm in comedy clubs with, you know, people in their 20s and 30s. You know, if that's where the vibe is. So, and it feels like it's my life. It still feels organic. At sometimes, like, yeah, I'm getting a little too old for some of this stuff. Like, but I still, and then, you know, now luckily I have children, so they keep me popping too. So, you know, they were definitely. It's funny. I was working with TikTok, which was actually Musically before it became TikTok. And I was doing some stuff, and I was like, oh, it's an interesting platform. But I didn't really start to pay attention to it until I saw my kids. And I was like, okay, there's something here. And so they even got me even re-engaged with, you know, that platform. And then obviously we know what the monster that TikTok is. So I just listen to my kids, you know. They got me doing things like Twitch and playing video games and doing arts and craft videos. And it's like, all right, this is, not only do you get to spend quality time, but you also have the know of, you know, what intrigues and inspires and informs them.
Well, speaking of hanging out with younger people, you graduated college this year.
Yeah. And I'm still going though.
Yeah.
I'm a forever student. You know, I'm currently in graduate school right now. And, you know, I don't think I ever stopped because it really has re-energized me in the academic space like never before. And I think it helps me be in tune and aligned with, you know, all that's going on, especially because everybody's woke now, which is cool. I love it. But there's when I seek knowledge and I seek truth. So I'm so grateful to Howard University and, you know, all of my professors and the people who are helping me continue my academic journey as I get this PhD in divinity, as well as, you know, counseling and psychology as well.
So I don't think from a business perspective anybody would have expected you to go get a bachelor's degree in criminology and be pursuing a PhD in divinity.
Yeah.
Is that part of a master plan also?
I think it is. I just want to know what I'm talking about. At the end of the day, people ask me my opinion on so many things, and, you know, my mind is constantly working. So criminology, I had a great interest in that space, obviously for the same reason that we all have, from the issues of mass incarceration to reimagining law enforcement. It's, again, it's that hot button topic. It's the thing that we're all passionate about, even specifically in 2020. And I just didn't want to be another celebrity, be like, yeah, we gonna Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, yeah, but what does that really mean? You know what I mean? What is the, and so in quite some time I have been going into facilities of incarceration, just trying to offer up some inspiration, some hope. And when I got the opportunity to see how these businesses were ran, and really a lot of it is modern day slavery, and, you know, takes us all the way back to the ideas of slave patrols and what our law enforcement and policing is really all about. I got deeper and deeper and deeper, and, you know, I looked up and, you know, I was studying, and now I have a degree in criminology, and, you know, and you know, taking that into the space of psychology and counsel psychology in that space of education, of taking these platforms and understanding the psychological mind of the Black man. Because really, when you think about what criminology is, it's almost really the study of the Black man. And, you know, you have everything from the Monahan reports to the concepts of, you know, what we've seen with the new Jim Crow, and these studies of how people view us and what lens and what scope they see the Black man has intrigued me in such a way. And then I get this, once I get a more bird's eye view on that space of divinity, it goes back to those concepts of love and spirituality, because there's been division within this world even before there was race. And you know, a lot of that is rooted in religion, and a lot of that is rooted in your identity with your God. And you know, so when I started to kind of really study it all and see that was the life that I was actually living, the hunger for more education in these spaces is natural. You know, I read probably about 2 or 3 books a week, so if I can get a degree for, you know, my readings and my writings, why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
So you mentioned the tabloids and you mentioned Hot Topics, and I want to end on a hopeful, inspirational note, as you said, because you know this year has been a rough year for everyone.
Everyone.
And you know, you had some bumps in the road this year.
Oh man, I ain't nothing happen with me. I'm good. I had an easy year.
You had an easy year. Someone said to me when I said I was doing this conversation, they said, well, you know, he didn't exactly make it the easiest year for himself.
Oh, I mean, hey, I'll say tough times don't last, but tough people do. I'm built for this. This is, and again, I feel like the resiliency of, you know, who we are as a people, you know, if I really truly believe that there's an inner God and an inner king within me, I have to be able to step up for any battle and prepare and you know, use my truthful sword to knock down whoever want to smoke.
So, as the last word, what is your message of hope for those entrepreneurs who are having a rough 2020?
You know what? I mean, don't just go through it, grow through it. It's a very simple concept, because we all going through something, you know, and that's the thing. I never want to be a respecter to, or I never like to play the oppression Olympics or who's having the worst year, and because you don't know someone else's pain, but what we do know is everyone is experiencing pain. And a lot of times the idea is to fight pain with more pain and hurt with more hurt. But when you can step back and just be still and understand and recognize the lesson in the process. You know, like for myself, I definitely received many lessons that have turned into blessings because of everything that I've gone through this year. And I feel like I'm controversial. That's just
who you are.
Like I got canceled last year. I'm gonna get canceled next year. Like because I speak my truth. You know what I mean? And I have no problem speaking it. But I also don't. I'm never one of those individuals who pretends to know everything. I'm never one of those individuals who is afraid of being vulnerable. So in that space, when I'm wrong, I can admit I'm wrong, but when I'm firm, I'm gonna let you know what I believe. And that's where I feel like entrepreneurs, you know, rest comfortably in their gut, in their passions. And you know, sometimes when on that way down, you're trying to figure it out, you're gonna hit some bumps and it's gonna hurt. But long as you allow that stuff to callous up and it makes you stronger and you put on your armor every day, you're gonna be all right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us.
No problem. Thank you.
Great job, Alisa, and thank you, Nick Cannon, for your insight and inspiration. What a blockbuster opening session. We're going to keep the energy up with our next session sponsored by JP Morgan Wealth Management. The topic for discussion, investing in racial equity will corporate America level the playing field for Black businesses, and how you as entrepreneurs can tap into those opportunities. Let's join Derek Dingle, SVP Chief Content Officer, the moderator of this session.